So, how do thoughts and energy manifest? Stay tuned for this episode. I'm going to share some insights that I've received from my spirit team about how thoughts and energy manifest and how we can anticipate what is going to happen based on the thoughts and energy in a particular space or idea or culture. All kinds of things are impacted by this. And so we're going to dive into several examples about how this element of manifestation works with energy and thoughts. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Soul Alignment Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Angie, and I'm inviting you to explore the depths of self-sabotage, limiting mindsets, and the beliefs that hinder our progress in life. Through intuitive messages I receive from my spirit team, I share profound insights to help you live authentically and break free from these limitations. Join me now as we uncover all the keys to living your best life. Welcome back. My name is Angie, and I'm your Soul Alignment Mentor, bringing you intuitive messages I receive from my spirit team to help you align with your most authentic and highest self. So today I want to talk to you about energy and manifestation. And this is something that my spirit team has been teaching me for a while now. And it does take some time and practice to really comprehend this. But once you get it, you are able to really, truly transform your life. So I want you to think about the last thing that you did today. When you did that, the first thing that happened was you had a thought. Then that thought manifested into a reaction or behavior. Now, these thoughts created inside of you a physical response as far as you taking action to do something, and an emotional response for how you felt about what it was you were doing. For example, this morning I got up pretty early, and the first thing I always think about is my coffee. I always want to have a cup of coffee before I start my day. And so my thought of I want to have coffee put me in action to create the cup of coffee, and then I sat and drank it. And I had joy and pleasure as I was connecting with the energy of what I had created. Then I had a thought I should read for a while. So I spent some time reading and enjoyed that process. And as I was reading, another thought came into my mind of I should walk on the treadmill for a little bit before I start my day. So I stopped reading and then I went to walk on my treadmill. And as I was walking on my treadmill, I thought about my energy and my thoughts, and I thought about you all. And so that next step that I took in my physical movement was coming to share a message with you, because I was tuning in with my higher self and my spirit as I was engaging with all of these activities. And that is how you listen to your intuition to help you make the decisions for your highest good and following the things that bring you the most joy. Now, there are things that will not necessarily bring us the most joy that we do engage in. For example, I think about how I have to do the dishes after I cook something, but that begins with a thought. And the way I think about it is how I will engage with that thing. And so if I'm thinking about how grateful I am that I have dishes to use to cook my food in, when I wash my dishes, I will be grateful that I get to use these for that purpose. Now, if I look at it as it's something that I have to do and I don't enjoy doing it and I don't want to do it, then I often might avoid that behavior or action because I don't like the feeling that it provokes inside of me. And this is what happens when we start to notice patterns in our life. And this is how we heal and change, is we start to see what is the thought that I have that moves me into the action, which then causes an emotional reaction within my physical body. Now, I want you to also think about this as a energy form. So if you were to picture an energy, so I'm here, I often hold a crystal with me when I'm doing my work. And this is a clear crystal quartz. And this is just something to keep me grounded. The energy of it, the feel of it, the texture, the programming of it that I use it for, because this crystal is programmable. This crystal is something that I use when I work. But if I were to take this crystal and I were to just say this is just a particle of energy, and this energy was put into something, and then another crystal or energy comes together, this amplifies the energy of these two objects. So if I'm around people or things or experiences that are in this energy, and then I connect with this energy, these two energies begin to combine. And the more that these two energies continue to combine, the more these energies amplify, and then they begin to intertwine, and these things work together. So this is why when we talk about the things you engage in when you are spending time doing things or around people or entertainment or anything you might do, you are intertwining your energy with another energy, another thing that is also provoking energy. So that is why as far as like entertainment has worked in this world, because the ego often holds some form of fear in it, the energy around us will use fear to either provoke us into a certain action or feeling, and then we react to that. So if I am someone that wants to avoid feeling a certain feeling, such as fear, or causing myself to feel that, then I have to avoid those things that purposely have the energy of that to provoke that feeling within me. And that might be something like a scary movie or going to something out in public that entertains through fear. Because if I engage in that activity, if I align my energy with it, then I'm going to also feel that in my senses, emotions, body. And my energy is going to pull that in, and that energy is going to amplify maybe a little bit of fear I already had within me and create more of it. So if somebody starts to engage in something over and over and over and over, then you can imagine that energy becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so this is something that reflects really well in society as well. When you are going to different cultures, there is a thought, there's actions, there's behaviors, there's ways of doing things in different areas around the world. For example, for me to living in the Midwest, we have a completely different way of living than somebody that might live on the East Coast or in California. And my behaviors, my actions, the way I interact with people and things around me are going to be different because I live in this energy of the culture that I am in, and that impacts the way I think and behave. Now, if I were to move somewhere, I would have to relearn how to work with that culture. And what would happen is the more I engage with it, the more my energy shifts into that energy. And so, this is what actually happens when you start to align with your higher self and you start to heal. You begin to notice the patterns that you have in your life. You begin to see what you're feeling, how your thoughts are impacting your life, and then the actions that you're taking based on the thought that you have. And so if I have a negative pattern that I am not enjoying and I want to change that pattern, then I have to deliberately start thinking a new way so that I can start manifesting a new energy. But I also have to stop engaging with the things that cause me to be in that energy. And this is very difficult because once you have a lot of energy in one particular area, it takes a lot of energy in the other area to move away from that. And that is why habits are made, because you are engaging the same pattern, the same behavior, the same energy over and over and over. And if you want to change that behavior, then you have to purposely start engaging with a different energy, which is difficult because this is so strong around you that it's going to take time to shift the consciousness and thought around this in order to move into a different thought, action, behavior, and emotion. And so, this is why doing daily work, meditation, working on feeling emotions, experiencing emotions, and allowing yourself to see the patterns that you have is very beneficial in changing and helping changing your mind, your thoughts, and helping you to heal old things that you have stored in your energy field. So, in order for me to start to see myself in a new way, to love myself more, I have to recognize that I don't love myself. And instead of ignoring that emotion and feeling, I have to start feeling that feeling and then deciding I'm going to make different thoughts in my brain and my consciousness to shift into an energy of I love myself. Now that's not going to happen overnight, because everything I've created around me and the energy that I have cycling around me is giving me evidence that I can find of reasons I should not like myself or should not love myself. So now I have to purposely start looking for reasons to love myself. I have to purposely start thinking about the reasons that I am good enough or worthy for certain things. And so this can move into any area of your life, even in attracting things to your life, attracting money into your life, attracting aligned relationships or connections into your life, attracting a career that you might desire and want to do. You have to first believe that you are worth that. So you have to move towards the energy of that and let go of the energy that you have been working in. Now, another way that you can see this cycling in humanity is by the different classes that we also have. So we have a lower class, a mid class, and an upper class. And this is all based around what we would call the economy or money. And so you will notice that there are certain areas in certain cities that have different cultures of energy. And some of these cultures is where these people will gather that think the same way. And then there to be another area of people gathering that think a different way and think the same way. And then you have another area where the people gather and they think a certain way. And those thoughts manifest into that area. And that's how those people begin to behave. That's how they react. That's how they interact with one another. And then when you move into a different energy that is not similar to what you normally are engaging in, there can be a clash or a misunderstanding because you're at two different wavelengths, you're at different energy fields. And this is also what happens when you start to heal. If you've been engaging in things that does not necessarily for your highest good, and then you suddenly start to shift in your consciousness, you start to interact with things that do bring you the highest good, and you've been spending time with people that you related with on a certain energy level, when you raise in your vibration, it's going to be harder to connect with that person. And this is why some of the relationships that we have as we shift and we heal do change, because you have shifted into a different consciousness, and that relatable energy that you once had is no longer there. Now, we all have the ability to go back into old patterns if we desire, but if you have awoken to something, you know how hard it is to want to go back to something that you have overcome. Now, there's also patterns and behaviors that can come back into your life if you're not actually working with the energy. This is why when somebody wants to change, you can't just try to change. You can't just say, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to start my diet and I'm going to lose 50 pounds in the next year. That's a great idea. But that first day is just the beginning journey. And it can be the same thing. If I think I'm going to quit smoking, then I have to change my thoughts around smoking. I have to change my idea of why I do it. I have to start looking at the reasons I don't want to and the reasons I want to stop this. And eventually, that feeling and emotion and energy of not wanting to do it becomes more than the feeling and energy of wanting to do it. And this is how we heal. But we have to see and feel and experience the energy we're in currently in order to change that energy. So we know what to shift into. Without knowing where you are currently, you don't know where to move next. And this is how you begin to see the pattern in your life based on the decisions. Our decisions create domino effects. So yesterday, I'm going to give you an example for myself. I've been working on trying to be healthy and make more healthy choices as far as what I'm eating and what I'm engaging in, how I'm moving my body, what I'm spending my time doing. And I had went to go visit a family member yesterday, and we got to talking. It was a long, time. I had been there for several hours. I hadn't ate all day. It was about 1 p.m. And she looked at me and she said, "Would you like to have a salad with me?" And I had this thought pop up in my head, and this is confession almost, that it would be really fun to go to the store and buy ingredients to make cookies. And so as she said this to me, I thought, that would be really healthy, but man, cookies sound really good right now. And at the beginning of the day, before I started today, I had this idea, like, I'll go and visit her. And then when I'm done, I'm going to come back home. I'm going to eat something. And then I'm going to go for a bike ride. And so as she said this to me, these thoughts are going in my head like, gosh, cookies sound really good. And I decided in that moment, my decision was, I think I'm going to go ahead and go. I need to run to the grocery store before I go home. Of course, I didn't share that I was going to go buy ingredients for cookies. And so I made this decision to move that direction. That was the energy I was moving towards at that moment. Now, I did go to the store. I did buy the ingredients. I came home. I did a couple other things. And then as the day continued, I kind of forgot I got the ingredients. And then I was like, oh, cookies. So I went to go make the cookies. As I'm making the cookies, I have this realization that had I stayed to eat the salad, that I would not have been hungry, and I would have probably been thinking differently about my body and about myself. And I may not have gone to go get the cookies because it would have been a later time and I would have already had something to eat. And then I could have come home and just went for that bike ride that I had originally planned for. But because my old pattern, my old thinking creeped back in, and I thought, oh, cookies sound better than taking care of myself, I went the direction of my old pattern. And so Spirit clearly showed me the two choices and paths that I had in that moment as the day went on. And it became more clear to me that I picked an old pattern over a new pattern. And so this is how you start to shift in your mindset and consciousness, where you start to recognize this is what I normally would choose and this is what I should have chose. And so you start to work with the energy, and the more you do it, the less and less the other thing becomes attractive because you start pulling in more and more energy, just like this energy combines with this energy. And so the more you work with this energy, the more this one becomes bigger than this energy. And so that's how the energetic field shifts, and that's how things start to manifest. Because the more you put energy into something, even if it is just like an apparition of a thought or just energy, the more you focus the energy, the more you set an intention with that energy, the more it becomes amplified and grows and then manifests into a physical thing. And this is how manifestation works in any part. If I am constantly thinking about how wealthy I am, if I'm constantly thinking about how many great people I have in my life, then eventually those things start to show up in my reality, because that's the energy of who I am and what I'm sending out. And that is what will attract to me. So we have to be really careful about how we're engaging with things, what energy we're engaging with, and our thoughts are the very first step of that. So pay attention to your thoughts. Now, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with this, because it becomes kind of natural the more you do it. A lot of people start putting a lot of effort into this, but the more you're able to just allow your intuition to guide you, the more gently this becomes. It's not about becoming it or putting a lot of effort. It's about trusting yourself and seeing the pattern so that you can start making shifts into a different pattern. And it takes time and it takes patience and it takes a lot of self-love to do this. So that is where I encourage you to start if this is something that you are wanting to work on. Start with yourself. Start with the way that you see yourself, because everything else around you will start to shift when you shift the way you see yourself. If this is something that you would like support in doing, feel free to reach out to me. I have several different options to work with me. The first one starts at only $25 a month, and I offer all the way up to weekly one-on-one support with me. So reach out if that is something that you're seeking or you'd like to have. Until I see you again or we meet again, I wish you the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. And I send you all the universal love. Namaste.